There we go. This town hall will be recorded and published online at mauricewest.com/SCC. That stands for State Central Committee. And if you'd like the link to the recording, feel free to email me at maurice@mauricewest.com. Now, how things will roll tonight. Both candidates will have a 2-minute opening and a 2-minute closing statement. For the questions that we have, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question, and then 30 seconds for what I will call a policy follow-up for each candidate. Again, I ask that the candidates focus on policy and substance for this position, because as we all know, it's been over 20 years since we've had new candidates for the Secretary of State. And so we're eager to know what your vision is for this position. Thank you again for being here to both of our candidates. Best of luck to both of you, and we look forward to a spirited policy discussion. A quick announcement: be on the lookout for the 17th District Democratic Congressional Candidate Forum in April. More details to come. My team and I flipped a coin earlier to see who will start. Alexi, you will go first with your opening statement. Anna, you will go first with your closing statement. So just to let you know, timekeeper, if you can show us how it works, we will give you a 30-second warning, and then we will tell you also when to stop. All right. So Alexi, feel free to start. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, Representative West. Thank you, Clerk Valencia, for making time. Thank you to all of you for being here. I want to especially thank the county chairs for the outstanding work that you do on behalf of our party, on behalf of our state, on behalf of our country. You are the real warriors. We need you, especially in November. You know, we have some enormous challenges ahead. So thank you for everything that you do from the bottom of my heart. Representative West, thank you for putting tonight on. It's great to see you again. Thank you for your leadership in Springfield. And I will tell you that the 17th Congressional District is enormously important. So I look forward to earning your support. This is an incredibly important office, but before I talk about the office, I want to talk about Secretary Jesse White took an office that was mired in scandal and corruption and turned it around, a great public servant. And as I think about the challenges facing our country, and I think about the challenges facing our democracy, it's so important that we keep this seat in Democrat hands. And I'm excited tonight to talk about my policy positions, most importantly, modernization, our focus on our libraries, how we can help bring equity and inclusion to the office, and to make sure, most importantly, that we do everything we can to fight for voting rights. When I think about the challenges that Republicans are putting up across the country, these dangerous bills to disenfranchise voters across the country, it breaks my heart. It's unfathomable. It's dangerous. And as someone who's the son of 2 immigrants, I can tell you that we have to fight to enfranchise voters. I'm very excited about the endorsements we've received so far in the campaign. Over 200 elected officials, the Downstate Southern County Chairmen's Association, county chairman across the state of Illinois, the Cook County Democratic Party, almost all of organized labor. And in a race where resources are important, I'm very proud of the fact that we've worked hard to raise over $4.2 million, and we're going to continue to aggressively use this office as a party building mechanism, and your support would mean the world to me. So thanks again for having me, and I look forward to this conversation.
Oh, Representative, you're on mute.
Thank you, Alexi. And now we're going to head over to Anna. You have 2 minutes for your opening statement. Sorry about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Representative West, for putting this together. I am so thrilled to be here. I am Anna Valencia. I'm the city clerk of Chicago, but most people don't know about me is that I'm the girl from Granite City. So born and raised in Granite City, the Metro East. My dad is a union painter. My mom worked at a nonprofit. And because of their hard work and sacrifices and some great public high school teachers, I ended up to University of Illinois, where I was first in my family to graduate college. From there, I've served the last 15 years in public service, and a couple things changed for me in 2016. When Hillary Clinton lost, I felt that there was upon a lot of women, especially women of color, that we had to raise our hand and do more. So I came out behind the scenes and decided to run for city clerk of Chicago. I was appointed, in 5 days after Donald Trump was sworn in, we got to work. We created the first ever municipal ID card, the City Key, which is a government ID, library card, transit card, and prescription discount card, and it's free. We've also worked on fines and fees reform, worked closely with Secretary White, the governor, and state legislature, and we passed a law in 2019 that no longer suspends driver's license for non-moving violations, giving 55,000 residents back their ability to get to work. And why this is important is because I met a bus driver, a CTA bus driver on the west side of Chicago, father of 5, had $5,000 in city sticker ticket debt. And when the city told him he had to put half down, $2,500, and when he couldn't, they suspended his driver's license and he lost his ability to get to work and provide for his family. So it's those families we're fighting for. And I'm very excited to announce that Secretary White today endorsed us, and very excited to carry on his legacy of trust and integrity and compassion for people, because Secretary White never forgot where he came from. And I'm never going to forget where I'm from in Granite City and the roots of labor that produced us. And so I'm very excited to talk about our positions today on modernization, the libraries, the DMV, and let's get this conversation going.
All right, so we'll start the first question with you, Anna. How has your experience prepared you for this role, and what makes you the best candidate?
So we've been in executive office the last 5 years, and it has not been easy under Donald Trump or Governor Bruce Rauner. We were fighting Governor Bruce Rauner for 4 years on a right to work state. We were fighting Donald Trump when, we're trying to create the city key card when our undocumented community felt so attacked and afraid to be deported. So we have been in the thick of these things for the last 5 years and doing a lot of the similar work that the Secretary of State's office does. We work very closely with them. And so we have the record of results and ideas that we've done to bring to the Secretary of State's office. I'm also a downstater, the only downstater in this race. So I have that unique perspective of working families that I can bring to the table that often feel left out, unvalued, and not heard. I'm also the only woman in this race, and I will make history just like Secretary White did all those years ago, being the first Black Secretary of State in our history. I'll be the first woman Secretary of State in Illinois. And I think, ladies who are watching, it's about time.
All right, thank you so much. Alexi, on to you for 1 minute. How has your experience prepared you for this role? What makes you the best candidate?
Great question. And I will tell you that, being the only candidate in either the Democrat or Republican side that's actually held statewide office, I think it's very important experience. I served as state treasurer from 2006 to 2010. I'm the only candidate in either party who has run and won statewide office, and I'm the only candidate on the Democratic ticket on Democratic side that's gotten a vote outside the city of Chicago. So I know how to win a statewide election. I've spent time in Rockford, in the Quad Cities, in Central Illinois, Southern Illinois, and I will tell you that I am incredibly proud of the work I did as state treasurer. We introduced low interest loan programs to help people start. Sure, I don't get cut off.
Keep a hot phone sometimes because of that, and all of your kids' electronics. They drain your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's correct.
I am so sorry, y'all.
That's all right. This is Zoom world.
All right, Alexi, are you done? Okay, good deal. 30 seconds for a policy follow-up for you, Anna. Apologies once again. Hope everyone's still with us. Let me just do a double check. Sweet, everyone's still here. Sorry about that, you all. Go ahead, Anna, for 30 seconds. Policy follow-up.
What, and just anything follow up to his?
No, to you, what you said, or if there's anything else you want to say that you didn't get the chance to say in that 1 minute.
Oh, and remind me of the question. Sorry.
What makes you the best candidate, and your experience?
Yes. So also, what I think also brings another perspective is I'm a mom of a toddler, and I've been hearing a lot of folks about the DMV lines because the pandemic has shifted our technology needs. And so really building upon Secretary White's modernization of the office to make sure that we're creating things like a mobile app. And so I think that experience of a mom of knowing there's not enough snacks in the world for a toddler to stay in line for 4 hours, but bringing that perception and perspective to Secretary of State, I think is also going to make me a very strong candidate.
All right, thank you. Alexi, 30 seconds for any follow-up that you want to add?
Well, I can tell you, having 2 little girls, I know that challenge. And I will tell you, again, it's one thing to talk about modernization and talk about implementation, but having run a statewide office, I think is incredibly important. And I think the thing that I'm most proud of, Representative West, is understanding, getting the respect of the people within the office. And every labor organization that has employees in the office has endorsed our campaign. SEIU, which represents over 2,500 employees in the office, IFT, the operating engineers, and the Teamsters have all endorsed our campaign, which to me shows that the people within the office respect our leadership, understand the experience I bring, and that's why they've endorsed our campaign.
All right, thank you. Alexi, we'll start with you with the second question. What policies will you adopt from Secretary White? What will you bring along with you?
From his current office?
Yes.
Well, I think, again, the most important thing we've been harping on is modernization. And I think modernizing the entire office will not only improve the customer experience, but also guarantee greater access and more equitable services for all Illinois residents. And we want to make more services and programs available remotely and online, and ensure contactless options are available for those who choose to visit the facilities. So a few things. Number one, implementing our Skip the Line program. Last year, you may have seen, we announced a new program designed to cut wait times at Illinois driver's license facilities. We plan to make our Skip the Line program available at every DMV facility across Illinois, allowing drivers to schedule an appointment, actually schedule an appointment before they get there so they don't have to wait in line, by visiting the Secretary of State's website, or for those who prefer, calling the office. After scheduling an appointment, residents will receive a text message confirming their appointment with a link to check in upon arrival, allowing them to enter at the scheduled time and skip the line. Seniors and others with special needs obviously would be given priority. But in addition to that, we want to make the process more convenient for customers. The scheduling component will also make it easier and more efficient for employees within the office, so that they're happier when you do get to the front of the line, you get the best customer service possible. I also want to push for digital driver's license.
That was 1 minute. Thank you, sir.
Sorry.
It's all good. Anna, what policies will you adopt from Secretary Justin White?
So one of the things I'm key on modernization office, there is so much money that just got passed in the infrastructure bill down in DC. And we have an opportunity to use those funds to overhaul the technology infrastructure and really bring to light what Secretary White wants to take a step further, to creating a mobile app that you can upload documents to, pay online, take your vision test online, clearing the lines for our seniors and people who really need to get in the office. The other thing that Secretary White did that I followed suit in was he goes out to the neighborhood and prints your state IDs right there on the spot. So we created a mobile city hall at the city clerk's office where we pop up regionally, offering Saturday hours and evening hours, so people don't have to take time off work or find childcare to get services in their communities. So that's something we want to carry on and do, because we need to meet people where they are. That's what it's all about, meeting people where they are, making it convenient and accessible. And that's how you continue to build trust that Secretary White has done over his decades of career. And that's what I want to continue to do.
Awesome. Thank you. Alexi, 30 seconds more to that question if you so desire.
I'm going to continue on the modernization because it's a few pronged. Sorry, I'm kind of a policy nerd. We also want to push for digital driver's license. So I think allowing for digital driver's license and state IDs on people's phones, like other states do, like the state of Louisiana, will make it more convenient for Illinoisans to update the information remotely and to avoid an in-person visit to a facility. We've all seen these crazy lines across the state. I will draft legislation, encourage Illinois lawmakers, including you, Representative West, to approve it during my first year in office. We also want to make more remote services available, introduction of an app, offer digital assistance to people through our user-friendly kiosk.
All right, 30 seconds, sir.
Access. Oh, I can't.
All right.
Sorry.
It's all good. 30 seconds for you, Anna, to follow up on what you was talking about.
One of the things I want to also do is that Secretary White has made our libraries a community-based hub, and I want to build on that. There's a grants program now. I want to double those efforts to create innovation grants using these federal dollars so that there's broadband in every single library in Illinois. Because during the pandemic, McLean County Dems, who are part of this tonight, told me that even though their library was closed, people would drive into the parking lot and use the Wi-Fi for their kids' e-learning materials. So we know that our communities rely on our library system, and we want to make sure that we build that up and make sure that they're in the 21st century.
All right, thank you. you guys were touching on it. I think the first question, this question goes to you first, Anna, am I correct? That glitch threw me off. Who started the first question? The policy. Alexi. Okay, so Anna, it's you.
Okay.
But then now we're talking about innovative ideas that you plan to bring to the office. I think both of you touched on it a little bit, but you have a minute to talk more about that.
So one of the things that I really want to bring is a civics corps, which is a paid youth jobs program. And that means that any high school student, GED student, community college student could get a paid internship registering voters in their communities and making sure that they understand what it means to be civically engaged. And why this is so important is because your zip code should not define your outcome. Just because I grew up in Granite City and was first in my family to go to college does not mean that I cannot run for the highest office. Look what we're making the impossible possible. So I want our youth to be able to have opportunities to have their foot in the door, to know that public service is an option for them to serve as well. And so we want to expand this jobs civics corps to make sure that our young people know they can be civically engaged now. We also want to create an Illinois Voting Access Commission to expand access to the ballot, bringing stakeholders like the Board of Elections, like the county clerks and the community-based organizations to talk together and collaborate with our scarce resources of how can we expand access to the ballot. Is it things like blockchain too, to make sure that our data is secure for elections? Can we double down on vote by mail and make sure that automatic vote registration is fully implemented?
All right, thank you. Alexi, what innovative ideas would you bring to the office?
We're going to talk about hopefully voting rights in our library systems, and we're going to how we support those efforts. But I also think there's more we could be doing when it comes to social justice issues. Number one, providing second chances. I would push the state to begin providing ex-offenders with valid state IDs before they're released from prison, ensuring newly released inmates have an authorized and recognized state ID. Once they complete their sentences, will help reduce recidivism, make it easier to reintegrate in society, especially when it comes to establishing a residency and finding a job. Number two, cracking down on scam artists. The Securities Division within the Secretary of State's office regulates the investment industry in Illinois when we investigate complaints of fraud and registering brokers. I will add more resources to increase the number of investigators, auditors, and examiners, and make sure we enhance financial literacy programs to protect everyday investors from those who prey on them and try to steal their savings. All of which would come at either a cost neutral or net revenue gain for that division.
Awesome.
More, but I got cut off for 1 minute, so I'm trying to jam it in there.
30 seconds back to you, Anna, on your policy.
Well, I think that's also a great idea. We created the City Key program, and we actually are printing on Monday in the Cook County Jail the City Key. We did that 2 years ago. We were able to offer a government ID for women leaving the prison system, so they had an ID to get employment, to get housing, because it's so important to have identification. And I know Secretary White and Lieutenant Governor Giannoulias Stratton recently this fall just started talking about state IDs in the federal or into the state prisons. I know that they've been working on that restorative justice. So I would definitely support those efforts and make sure that we could continue to build on what they're trying to do.
Awesome. Thank you. Alexi, 30 more seconds for you.
I would also add toughening ethics laws. Our campaign has crafted a series of ethics reforms that would require more transparency and disclosure regarding the financial dealings of public officials. As many of you may or may not know, the Secretary of State's office maintains lobbyist registrations and statements of economic interest. And I'm proud to be the only candidate to put forth a comprehensive ethics package aimed at preventing abuse, which has been hailed by good government advocates like former Lieutenant Governor Sheila Simon and Andy Shaw, also enhancing business services, making roads safer, and fighting climate change.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hold on real quick. I keep missing my spot. Who started that question?
I did.
Anna. Alexi. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, I got it now. I won't forget. What are your thoughts on the current licensing process for CDLs, particularly drivers moving to Illinois from out of state who are forced to retest for their license?
So we've heard a number of complaints when it comes a number of issues from folks who have to get retested for CDLs. We're still doing all our homework, but we think it's something that needs to be remedied, quite frankly. The other issue that we've heard over the last few weeks is something that we're looking at. Again, it's still pretty early on. You know, the age for a CDL is 21. We've been talking to some folks who feel that with a lot of individuals leaving a lot of truckers leaving, a lot of opportunities for jobs, especially in central and southern Illinois. Is there an opportunity to decrease that age from 21 to 18? I'm not taking an affirmative position on that yet, but it is interesting to hear from our folks in organized labor who think that's the right thing to do, will help create jobs, and will help bring some jobs to Illinois. So a lot of pieces on the CDL that we're going to be focused on.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me state the question for you, Anna. What are your thoughts on the current licensing process for CDLs, particularly drivers moving to Illinois from out of state who are forced to retest for their license? 1 minute.
Well, I think we should look at what we have done for nurses, traveling nurses, and being able to reinstate them when they're traveling different states, that we should look at those licensing requirements of CDL. And if they have so many X amount of years, that we honor that and maybe have them carry over to the state so that we can get and keep competitive. Illinois, we have to remain competitive with talent, and we don't want to dissuade people from moving here if it's a nightmare to get your CDL retested. The other thing I've also learned is I want to do an audit of all of our locations, CDL locations. When I was in East St. Louis, unfortunately, their CDL location is no longer located in East St. Louis. It's now Springfield, which is about an hour and 15-minute drive, which makes it really hard for people who are coming back, the reentry community, to get a CDL license if they want to become a bus driver or get an entry-level job that could help them get on the right track. So I think it's really important that we not only talk about the requirements, but also where locations are and how quickly people can get and access them.
Thank you so much. 30 seconds more for you, Alexi.
If I can add a little twist on that also, one of the things we've been talking about is making our roads safer. And I think it's coming up more and more in conversations as we cross the state. I want to work to make our roads safer for both motorists and police officers. I'm working with State Representative LaShawn Ford, one of your colleagues, in repealing an existing state law which prohibits drivers from hanging items from a vehicle's rear view mirror. I know it's true. We're only one of a handful of states that actually ban items from hanging from a vehicle's rear view mirror or fixed to a windshield on the grounds that they, quote, obstruct the motorist's vision. The current law allows police representatives to stop motorists for minor vehicle offenses, but in many cases, those encounters have led to physical confrontations with deadly consequences for both motorists and officers. And I think the Secretary of State has an opportunity to be a leader on some of these issues to help pass laws to help make our roads safer. And again, fight for social justice.
Thank you so much. 30 seconds for you, Anna.
Yeah, so in terms of just following out this, for me, the way I approach policy, it's always bottom up, not top down. And the things that I've done in the city clerk's office the last 5 years, the city key, the fines and fees reform, our modernization that we're getting ready to go completely paperless, digitizing, electronic voting for the first time in Chicago history. All of these things I've done in a very short time of 5 years has all been from community-based organizations, parents, different organizations that bring us the information they need. And therefore, as a public servant, we need to make it happen. And so that's how I'll approach every single issue that we're going to be dealing with is our best policymakers are the people that we serve.
Thank you so much. Next question for you, Anna. Once in office, what do you commit to doing for immigrant and specifically undocumented community members?
So when we created the municipal ID card, the city key, it was for a marginalized community, so reentry community, homeless, LGBTQ, and certainly undocumented. And there was such a fear because this was Donald Trump. I mean, this was not the easy years. And so people were really afraid to give information. So we found a way through state statute that we're able to only take your date expired, your date of birth, and the date issued, and our unique ID number. And we were able to print these and make them accessible to all. And so one of the things that's beautiful about them is there's no distinguisher on them. My key card is the same as someone who might be undocumented. And what I'd like to look at the TVDL, and I've already talked to many people, the State Rep Evelina Delgado and Leader Hernandez, who are both supporting me, about how do we make the TVDL easier to get and not a distinguisher marker for undocumented. Because if we do, we'll have more people get the TVDL. We'll also see the insurance claims because they'll be able to get insurance. And we'll see more economic value of uninsured drivers by using something that doesn't have a distinguisher saying I'm undocumented.
Thank you so much. Alexi, once in office, what do you commit to doing for immigrant and specifically undocumented community members? 1 minute.
Well, I'm very proud to have received the support of Congressman Chuy Garcia and the 22nd Ward IPO organization, in addition to a number of Latino organizations. I think in large part, because of my promise and my pledge to help fight for the immigrant and the undocumented communities. A couple things. One is, most importantly, I will strongly oppose releasing any information of current TVDL holders and TVDL applicants to immigration officials, and will fight any request, subpoena or warrant from Homeland Security or ICE to give that information up. That's something that was very important to Congressman Garcia and to Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, who also endorsed our campaign, two progressive giants. More importantly, my team and I will be proactively looking at ways to strengthen this current policy and to take it a step further by seeking legislation to codify this practice into state law. Because again, we can get it done in our office, but until we pass it by law, if a Republican comes in after me, they can obviously get that information to ICE. We have to fight for our undocumented and our immigrants, and I'm proud of the tremendous support we've received from that community.
Thank you so much. Anna, 30 seconds.
Yes, there's a difference between fighting and doing. I've done this work. It's not anything you'll notice when you stand with people facing deportation at a federal building. And I think that, when I stood with them under the fear of Donald Trump, we were able not only to talk about the city key and get that program off, we also got the legal protection fund together, a $1.5 million legal protection fund for free legal services for deportation. And because of our work, we were able to also advocate for a statewide fund that also is managed to help our immigrant community. And so I think it's really important that we, look at that. And in terms of language access, we also have to remember that not all immigrants are Latino. They're not. There's all kinds of different immigrants across. We need to make sure language access, making sure that we have the top 5 languages in Illinois represented at our DMVs, and making sure that people, when they come in, they feel welcomed and know that they can get services from us.
Thank you. Alexi, 30 seconds.
Again, having two parents who came to this country as immigrants, understanding the challenges that they've faced, making it a bicultural office so that folks speak different languages so they have access to all services. But again, I can't stress enough the importance of making sure that we do not let ICE and some of these federal agencies have access to this information. That will require getting it done through the legislature. And I think, again, being the only candidate who's has actually passed bills within the legislature for their constitutional office is an important experience. And I'm going to be looking to you, our Representative West, hopefully to help us pass this legislation to codify it into law.
Thank you so much to both of you. Alexi, this question is for you to start. Cybersecurity is a key problem for large organizations. Good email practices are part of keeping our data secure. How will you ensure that the departments under your purview are safe from cyber attacks?
That's a great question, whoever asked it. That's one of the most important challenges facing not just the Secretary of State's office, not just government, private sector, financial services. I've spoken to Attorney General Kwame Raoul about this, and I even spoke to Mayor Tom McNamara about this, who's a great mayor, by the way, who's endorsed our campaign. Cybersecurity is an enormously important office. The research we've done so far from our policy team, some of the technology that helps the most is blockchain technology. And if we can especially if we create an app and we put people's information on their mobile device, making sure that's unhackable, secure. We've talked about the importance of vision tests online, so people aren't waiting 3 hours in line for a vision test. Again, a lot of that technology comes from blockchain technology, but making sure cybersecurity is a priority is unambiguously the most important thing we can do. Again, not just in this office, but across the state. So we want to make sure we bring new technology in to protect people's identity and people's private information.
Thank you so much. And I'll restate the question. Cybersecurity is a key problem for large organizations. Good email practices are part of keeping our data secure. How will you ensure that the departments under your purview are safe from cyber attacks? 1 minute.
So again, there's so much federal dollars that we have to go after right away after that infrastructure bill. And we need to get those federal dollars to rehaul the whole technology infrastructure system of the Secretary of State's office, which I know has always been a priority of Secretary White. and they still are on a cobalt system. So we really have to make that investment. I know it's not always a sexy investment for the legislature to want to do, but it's a must. Blockchain is really important because it's not a centralized location. Blockchain is able to break it up in different pieces to keep it more secure. That is something we're doing right now with our city council modernization project at the city clerk's office, is thinking about cloud storage, where this data is going. Now, blockchain has not been used in the public sector as much. It's more used in the private sector. So we do have to test it. We do have to look at how it would be with the Secretary of State's office, but I would bring in all the top experts, work with different universities, and make sure that we had a really good think tank on how we were doing this and best practices used. But it has to be an investment. And when we see that investment in technology infrastructure, you'll actually see additional revenue coming into the state instead of the reverse, because right now it's so difficult to do it online that people are just skirting away. And so we're not seeing the revenue coming in.
Thank you so much, Alexi. 30 seconds.
I'm going to use my 30 seconds because I think I answered the cybersecurity question, #1 priority for us. I want to talk about our libraries in case we don't get to it. Our libraries are an incredibly important resource, regardless of where you live in the state of Illinois. I plan to implement a universal license to read program to #1, improve access to libraries. #2, add educational programs. #3, provide more digital services online. Again, cybersecurity will be important to protect everyone's private information. And #4, finding new ways to bring people together, especially in communities that need those services the most. And we could do a whole debate or forum on libraries. I can't stress enough how important, as the state's chief librarian, this office is and should be, especially after seeing what COVID has done to our boys and girls.
Anna, 30 seconds.
Well, since we're talking about the libraries, I grew up in my library in Granite City, and that was a place that I got to explore what outside this little world of mine was really about. And so we need to invest in our libraries and make sure every library has broadband access, and even looking at things like Maker's Lab, where you can walk into the Rockford Library and have a 3D printer at your disposal. Or in the Granite City Library, they have now pods that are soundless, so folks can go in and do Zooms for workforce development and interviews. We have to think about these libraries as a connection between our community colleges, our high schools, and our elementary schools. And I want to make sure that we're doubling down on the innovation grants that we have at the state library at our disposal.
Thank you so much. Anna, this question's for you. 2 more questions before closing. If elected, what will you do to support our veterans?
Yes, I think that's a great question. Right now, as city clerk of Chicago, one of the things that we did was expand our no-fee veteran city sticker. We know that our veterans have fought hard, and we want to make sure that we can do our small part. And so we definitely want to look at veteran benefits that we can offer to all of our veterans across the state of Illinois. If that looks at the registration or business registration, especially our veterans who are becoming business owners. When people register businesses, there's a great opportunity for us to immediately connect them to grants that the state has to offer and connect them to their local chamber of commerces so they can get plugged in on ways their businesses can be successful. So I'm looking forward to hearing from more veterans, but we've already done a lot of work on the back end. The other thing is identification and veteran designation. At the city, with the city key, we have served homeless veterans by printing city keys at the homeless shelter, and then we've been working with Department of Family Support Services to then get them into temporary housing. So these type of collaborations that are innovative and outside the box, we can do a lot. And so those are my expertise for the last 5 years that we've worked on.
Thank you so much. Alexi, what will you do to support our veterans if elected?
Well, let me begin by thanking all our veterans for the tremendous, obviously, sacrifice they made to our country. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I will say that when I was state treasurer, I worked hard to always fight on behalf of veterans. We had a tremendous amount of support when I was state treasurer. I launched the scholarship fund in order to honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. We launched, many of you may remember, because we kicked it off, I think, in Rockford. I launched the Fallen Hero Scholarship Fund to benefit the children of fallen Illinois service members. The fund helped children, those who died in Iraq or in Operation Enduring Freedom. And I'm very proud of that. I also think, most importantly, making sure, as we talk about technology, that the veterans who may not want to use the app or use the mobile device have their own direct line for Secretary of State services. We think that's fair, especially for the sacrifices they've made. So veterans will have their own line, their own app if they want it, as part of the Secretary of State's app, so that they get, along with our seniors and our most vulnerable, the ability to skip the line. Oh, my time is up.
All right, Anna, 30 seconds.
Well, I'm going to do a plug for one of my very first endorsements, Senator Tammy Duckworth, who I think is a brave, courageous veteran. And I'm so proud to have her support in this campaign. And I'm going to plug her, and you should buy her book because she talks about her incredible journey. And one of the things that I think we're learning about is that sometimes our veterans come home and they're not set up for success, for workforce development opportunities or jobs of the future. So however we can pair up with other additional Illinois state services, get their identification, get them connected with maybe our local libraries for workforce development so that they can have a job and dignity and be able to provide for themselves and their family. So I'm really looking forward to campaigning with Senator Duckworth up and down the state.
All right, thank you. Alexi, 30 seconds.
The point that I was going to make, the last point I was going to make, we've talked to veterans across the state, and one of the things that comes up is not just among veterans, but especially with veterans, the cost they're paying to register their automobile, their truck. What we've looked at, again, if it fits within the budget, finding ways to reduce those fees and those charges even more for our veterans. If there's an exemption, that's something I think they've asked for. It's something that we'd absolutely look at, and might be something that I would love to implement, again, assuming it fits within the state's budget.
All right, thank you. Alexi, this last question is for you before we do our closing statements. How do you foresee working with the General Assembly, the other constitutional officers, to accomplish your objectives to help residents in Illinois?
Great question. Again, I think when I became state treasurer, I was very proud of what we were able to achieve. Again, going after credit card companies that went after our college students, low interest loan programs for people who want to be entrepreneurs and start their first business. Talking about financial literacy. Again, my first hire was Robin Kelly, who resigned as state representative to be my chief of staff. She taught me the ins and outs of working with the House members, with the Senate. A lot of what we needed to get done, including passing our budget every single year, required working with legislators. I've had an outstanding relationship with a number of legislators in Springfield. I think that experience is important. As you know, Representative West, a lot of that just takes time. Working with people across the aisle, spending time with state reps and senators. I've always had an outstanding relationship. I hope that's something that continues. But I will also tell you, having that experience as a constitutional officer, as a former constitutional officer, is very helpful. And I think working with the comptroller and the attorney general and the secretary of state back when I was treasurer, I'm very proud of my track record, and having that experience, I think, is crucially important going forward.
Thank you so much. Anna, for 1 minute, how do you foresee working with the General Assembly, the other constitutional officers, to accomplish your objectives and to help residents of Illinois?
Well, I've already been working with them. Governor Pritzker and Secretary White and the legislature passed that first bill that no longer suspends driver license for non-moving violations. I've also been working really closely with Treasurer Frericks, who's been a great partner at all of our mobile city halls. He brings his iCash station where you can claim your iCash that the state might have. He's also been a great partner of talking to charter banks in Illinois to take the municipal ID card and city key to start a banking program or to get a banking account. I've also been working with Delia Ramirez, state rep, and State Senator Ron Billivan on a municipal ID bill that passed last session that allows the city key municipal ID card to be accepted at all state buildings. So I'm no stranger to Springfield. I've been around and working with them very closely. I'm very excited to continue this working relationship so that we can get things done for people in Illinois, because that's why they elected us.
All right, Alexi, 30 seconds.
I think during the campaign, we've already been working with legislators. I mentioned Representative LaShawn Ford, who endorsed our campaign on passing or repealing the law to get rid of, excuse me, the hanging rearview mirror law. We've worked with Lakeisha Collins already to help pass some legislation on a couple social justice issues. So I think working with them already on the campaign, talking about policy, I think is crucially important. Senator Billivan on a couple issues when it comes to automatic voter registration, back end, getting his support early on has been very, very helpful, even before we get in office.
All right, Anna, 30 seconds.
One of the things I'm most proud of was we were the first team to ever override the Governor Bruce Rauner's veto on Senate Bill 777, which was to stop the fire and pension bill going. And we had to override that because he was trying to stand in the way of labor making any progress. And I've been proudly supported by the firefighters and endorsed in this campaign, which I'm very excited about. And so that is the type of things we have to do to come together to make sure not only that we're creating positive legislation, but God forbid if we ever had a Republican governor again, we got to make sure that we have roadblocks and come together to stop any dangerous legislation as well.
Thank you so much. That concludes the questions that I have from the attendees who are here. Now we're going to go to a 2-minute closing statement. Of course, don't forget to plug yourself, but we're going to start with you, Anna.
Well, thank you so much for having me tonight. I've greatly enjoyed this conversation. And what I'm really asking for you is to take a chance on the next woman Secretary of State. Secretary White endorsement today means the world to me because it shows that he believes in the integrity and character that we have built. And I actually grew up in Granite City, not just 20 minutes where he was born in Alton. And together we can be bridge builders between Chicago and Illinois. And I want people to know, I want young people to know that your zip code does not define who you are, that anything is possible. And I want my daughter to see that women belong in the highest offices here in Illinois. And so I am running not for Anna Valencia. This is not about me. It is not my name on the door. It is about us. It is about what we represent. And it is our time to claim our power and do the most good, because this is public service. This is not about us. It's how we serve you. So I'd be honored to have your vote. I'd be honored to have your endorsement. And I look forward to meeting you as we come through this post-COVID world and in person as we march up and down the state. And again, thank you so much for your time. Oh, and other endorsements, Senator Durbin and Duckworth have also endorsed us, which I'm very proud of. They say you are who you run with. So I'm very proud to have their support along with the firefighters, nurses, bricklayers, painters. Shout out to my dad's District Council 58, who's a proud member of 37 years painting our streets in Granite City. And to my parents tonight, I know you're watching. Hello, and I hope I made you proud tonight. Thank you, everyone.
I'm sorry. Real quick, website, the way to contact you.
Yes, join us at voteannavalencia.com. Please sign up, and all of our social media profiles are on there too.
All right, thank you. 2 minutes for you, Alexi.
Well, I want to thank, again, thank you, Representative West, for putting this together. I really want to thank the county chairs. As someone who worked closely with the county chairs when I ran for state treasurer, when I ran for the United States Senate, the county chairs have always been by my side. And I want to thank you for all that you've done for our state and for our democracy. Speaking of democracy, the reason this race is so important, something we didn't get a chance to touch on tonight, is voting rights. I mentioned both my parents came to this country as immigrants, and when they came here with nothing. And when they finally had the opportunity to vote, it was such a big deal. It wasn't about whether they were going to vote, it was what time they were going to vote, which one of their 3 boys they were going to bring with them. And to see these dangerous laws being passed by secretaries of state and implemented by secretaries of state across the country, that disenfranchise voters is the biggest affront to our democracy that we've seen in a very long time. When I see people waiting 6, 7, 8 hours in line in Alabama or Georgia just to vote, that's unacceptable. That's why this office is important. I think because of the great work of the county chairs and our party, we're very lucky to have a blue state. But the truth of the matter is, we're an island of blue among a sea of red. And I think 2022 is going to be a very challenging year. And that's why we need to make sure we keep the seat in Democrat hands. Fighting for voting rights for everyone is the biggest challenge that we face as a democracy. We need to make sure we have a Democrat Secretary of State. I'm very proud of the campaign we've run. Again, over 200 endorsements from elected officials, from county chairmen, from Congressman Chuy Garcia, Congressman Schakowsky, almost all of organized labor. I'm very proud of that support. I would be honored to have your support. I promise you we're going to run a campaign you can be extraordinarily proud of. And I look forward to working closely with all of you. I'm honored to be here, and I really appreciate everyone's time. Thank you so much.
Website.
I guess I'm still the old guy who says www. It's alexiforus.com. You can learn more about our campaign. I also want to thank Clerk Valencia for making time. Running for office isn't easy, but she's made a lot of sacrifices, and I'm excited about the campaign. So thank you again for having us.
Ladies and gentlemen, Clerk Valencia, former Treasurer Giannoulias, thank you so much for both of you being here. To all of our attendees, thank you for joining us. Our county chairs for the 17th Congressional District, thank you for helping me host this. To our candidates, whenever you want to find yourself in the 17th Congressional District in any of these counties, just let me know. I'd love to have you at one of these county meetings. To everyone, stay safe. The weather's crazy right now. And again, sometime in April, we'll be doing a forum for the congressional candidates of the 17th District. More information to come. Timekeeper, thank you so for your help. Everyone be safe. Alexi, Anna, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rhett. Bye-bye.
All right, have a good one, everyone.